3 in a row at Christmas time for Hull City. Welcome back to where Tigers walk. Just keeps getting better and better and better. And is Sergei one of the best managers that we've had in quite a while? Hope you're doing well. This fan on Facebook said exactly that. Daz says, I'm amazed at the position we're in compared to where I thought we'd be pre-season. I've really enjoyed watching when this team developed. The unity and fighting spirit is clear to see. Sergei is a real fine, great manager, probably the best we've had in a very, very long time. Up the Tigers, thank you very much for your company this week. This is our final one of 2025 before the very busy Christmas schedule gets in our way. Welcome back, Matty and Elliot. Coming up this week on this final episode of 2025, we're doing a Christmas special. We're asking each of our panel here to gift one player or one championship player across the division a gift this Christmas, who they choose. We're talking about what's the best fan base that's visited so far the MKM this year in the season of goodwill, of course, and we're picking our player of 2025 who has stood out for us the most. Plus we're also getting our A to Z back underway, of course, with the letter K. Great to have your company as always. Thank you for your comments on last week's one. Before we move on, Matty, how do you say the surname of one of the top goal scorers this season?
McBurney? Is it Gelhart? Is that right? Have I said it right?
I think so.
Gelhart. Yeah.
Gelhart. No D in it.
Right. I will try my best, Mark, this week to thankfully he's injured, so he don't get a mention. So I will try my best. My apologies to everybody for my lack of pronunciation.
We're recording this after the 1-0 win against West Brom. Elliot, is it fair to say that you've made heavy weather of that, but in the day it's points over performance for this one?
Yeah, exactly that. I think we were lucky to not be sort of 1 or 2-0 down. West Brom missed a couple of really sort of good opportunities. There was one time where we just fell asleep when they took a quick free kick and we should have been punished, but we sort of weathered that storm, and then at the end of the first half, we got that penalty, which in the end was quite clear. And I think even Ryan Mason said after the game that it was a slam dunk. And McBurney took it, and then second half, I think it was just a case that we managed to see the game out. Neither team really had any real clear-cut opportunities. I think there was only 2 shots on target all game, and that was 1 each in the end. So, yeah, a bit of a not exactly, I suppose, like a Christmas cracker sort of game, but it was an important one still to get 3 points.
Yeah, let's have a look at some social media takes on me. Rich says, ugly but effective. Sometimes what's needed. Yeah, Stephen says, hard watch, but a win is a win. 4th in the league is unreal, Matty. Let's keep believing. Got the Tigers Merry Christmas to all the Tiger Nation. If you look back at last Christmas's table, Matty, Hull were 4th bottom at that point, and here we are sitting 4th. Can you scarcely believe it?
Well, you can't really, can you? You can't really fathom that we've come from being so bad to being, so good at the moment. But that's credit. I think that does, you talked at the top of the show. That does, massive credit to Jurkiewicz for turning it around on, and it's great to kind of rub it in faces of everybody. That wrote us off at the beginning of the season and said that we were going to be, relegation fodder. We'd be down by, or our manager would be sacked by Christmas. He's really, really put a mark on the team. We're playing probably the best football we've seen for at least 4 or 5 seasons at home, which is great. So. Yeah, no, I can't believe it. It's a great transformation, and you can just tell. You can tell by the players how they react to him and how they look up to him as well. So I think a lot of credit does go onto him. Obviously, Adjan saw something in him and plucked him out of the Turkish league. So yeah, it's a great journey, Mike. To be honest, we're now watching football. I think yesterday, knowing. There's some games where we've been losing, but you actually do genuinely think, do you know what, we're actually going to get back into this? Or we knew kind of yesterday that we weren't playing great, but do you know what, get him in at half time and have a bit of a rollicking, I suppose, and turn him round, or just tweak things tactically. So he's done a great job, and it's great to see. As a fan, we're absolutely loving it at the minute, so it's great. Yeah.
To answer your question at the start then, is he, Matty, one of the best you've had in recent years?
I think he has to be. I think you only have to look at the position that we're in and what he's been operating on. I mean, beginning of the season, three transfers. Um, we've spent most of the season with a lot of the players that we did bring in out. So we've had backup players that have had to come in and have done a great job for us. He's getting something out of Kyle Joseph. He's right. Slater is a different player to what it was last year. So, there are areas that we can still improve on defensively, but I think he recognises that. But he probably is. He's getting. I think he's just bonded the players together. They've got a real unity, I think, together, which is great to see. So, yeah, he's playing good football. And like yesterday, there was times where under a senior, we would definitely passed it across the back four and we'd have just kept it going, kept the ball, boring. They try and get it to the fullbacks, and we do try and get forward as quickly as possible. So it's entertaining football. This is what we were crying out for, haven't we, under Adrian? So yeah, he's definitely up there with one of the recent better appointments. Definitely under his ownership. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, Elliot, when the team was announced yesterday, we had lots of Hull fans on social media going absolutely crazy. Jim called it filthy. Tommy there says easy 6-0. There were some like, look at that attack line. If it's 4-2-4, it could be, or 4-4-2. And then at half time, it was 0-0, and actually West Brom by far the better side. So going from that, this is the most exciting attacking lineup we've had in a long time, to actually it not working. What went wrong from that regards?
To be fair, I think a lot of it sort of came down to winning the ball. Like at Millwall last week, especially in that first half, we seemed to be winning every single second ball, winning tackles and getting under the ball. Whereas yesterday, we seemed to struggle to get a grip of possession, and West Brom frustrated us more as the half went on. And they seemed to be able to exploit maybe sort of some of our defensive vulnerabilities, and then sort of going forward, they seemed to be quite organised when we tried to get forward, but at the same time, I think we just sort of struggled to get a real foothold in the game, and obviously, especially in midfield, it seemed like they were sort of winning the midfield battle. So Sergei bringing on Amir in the second half for Joseph just helped to put that extra man a bit deeper, and I think that sort of helped to settle us a bit more. But I think maybe in other games going forward, where we might fancy ourselves to score 2 or 3 goals against teams that are maybe struggling, then we could maybe see that sort of Joseph behind McBurney and then Miller and Ballumi. But we've got other players as well who maybe not got the goals in them, but play a vital role maybe further back like Amir can.
This one, Matty, from many Hull fans. It went through the wars a bit, didn't he? Mr. Hughes Mark says 30 million defender. Class act. Yeah. Just a word on Charlie, please.
Yeah, as soon as he went down from that corner, he thought, "Oh no, he's actually gonna." He actually looks like he's probably going to come off, but credit to him that he genuinely wanted to stay in. I don't know if that's probably just because of the nature of the player that he is, that he wants to continue, or he's definitely a team player saying, no, I don't want to come off. Would that have happened under a Sellers or a Walter? I'm not sure, but he took the treatment. He got back on with it, and he was class. He was class yesterday. I mean, him and Giles, I thought I thought Giles was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was absolutely outstanding defensively and attacking wise. But Charlie Hughes was definitely up there, and it's a real Terry Butcher moment, weren't it? I thought it was going to be like covered in blood, hero coming off at the end of the game, but he kind of just he got on with it, and. He always gives his best. He always gives his all, and that's all we ever ask for a fan base, is that he does that. And he was in the right place at times. First half, we were very fortunate, but second half we were a lot more organised defensively, a lot stronger defensively. So, and again, that goes credit down to him. And he's still only a young lad, isn't he? Relatively speaking, in terms of a centre back, and he's probably not in his best years. Are probably still ahead of him, but he's certainly. Not that we want to put him in the shop window, but he certainly, with his performances, is putting himself in that shop window. If he decides later on in the year to go, why would you want to go when we're a Premier League team? You know what I mean? So you wouldn't want to, would you? At the moment. So
Brilliant. I'm loving this optimism. Yeah, on the same lines, Andrew says, yeah, we're coming for Borough. Yeah, brilliant. Realistically, though, Elliot, I mean, what are we, fourth at Sheffield Wednesday, obviously, to come on Boxing Day? I mean, which should mean we should be looking, well, we're already 5 wins. 4 wins out of 5, aren't we? Which would take it 5 wins out of 6. Are you starting to believe?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I'd still sort of be happy if we end up top 10. Like, I think with where we were in the summer, and I know obviously
You
we're fourth
wouldn't.
at the moment.
You wouldn't.
I think it's just how the championship can be, and just being cautious of the fact that any team's susceptible to a poor run. And to be honest, I don't think we've had too long of a poor run yet. And I'm fingers crossed we don't have that, but at some point you feel like that could potentially happen. And yeah, it's just such a tight league. But I think the longer this goes on, and if we can keep it up over Christmas and into the early part of next year, and we don't lose anyone in January, then there's no reason why we can't believe that we can finish in the top 6. But there's still a lot of teams around us, and we've got to keep this momentum going, going into the next few games, and certainly across January, and making sure we don't lose key players like Gellart or Hughes.
Okay. We'll be taking a short break over Christmas, but we'll be back in the new year. Of course, we'll look back on all the Christmas fixtures. You going to Hillsborough, Elliot?
I'll be watching that one on telly, but I'll have an eye on that throughout that game. Bit worried just in terms of Wednesday. They've only won once, and maybe they've been getting close in a couple of games. I remember, like Watford, they were winning for quite a while. So there's always that sort of, typical City,
Yeah.
But if we can go there and win, and then go to Middlesbrough and do better than how we did a couple of weeks ago at least, then that'd be okay for me.
Yeah. Used to be a phrase, Dr. Hall will see you now, won't he? But we
Yeah.
haven't used that in a while. If you haven't yet done so, it would be massive for you to help us just continue to grow by subscribing to the channel. Right, on to all of the little bits and pieces this week. And who's the best set of fans that have visited the MK and Matty for you so far this season? I mean, the season of goodwill, so we're giving some of the teams a bit of praise this week.
I don't know. That is a tough one. I'll probably go with Middlesbrough. I think it's a relatively, well. Is it a derby? I don't know. It's kind of close by, isn't it, in terms of teams and stuff. But I think they were probably helped with it being such a one-sided game that they scoring early, and then they kind of kept the momentum with that, and they were absolutely loving it, weren't they, by half time? So I would probably go with Middlesbrough. A good shout would be with Pompey, I suppose, as well. They always travel well. They weren't as good as what they were last year, and I know they give us a lot of grief saying it was quiet and stuff like that. But they're always loud as well. But yeah, I'd go for Borough. I think when they always travel well in numbers, wherever they go, don't they? But I think when they come to our place, they always seem to up the game, and they always seem to give us an excellent game, or we all tend to lose when we're at home to them. So, and that's maybe down to the fan base, the following that they go. So I'll definitely go for Borough.
Okay. Player of the year then, time please. Now you can choose somebody who, of course, left in the summer, but looking back all the way to January through to now, Elliot, the calendar year, who has to take this crown for you?
I think I'd give it to Joe Gellart, just on the fact that he came in January, scored some vital goals last year to keep us up, and then obviously this year he's been fantastic as well, especially in the absence of McBurney. Obviously, unfortunately, he's injured at the moment, but he's been such a key pickup for us, alongside someone like Cooks as well, who's been, I think, fantastic for us. That January window was sort of helped set the tone for the success this season.
Yeah. Matty, same to you.
I'd probably go for. I'm going to go for Pandor. I think just because I think there's some good shouts in terms of people like McBurney and probably Giles who's come back and probably Charlie Hughes. But for me, Pandor was outstanding at second half of the season last season, and if it wasn't for him in some of the games, he kept us up. He has a bit of a rocky start to this season, but I think he probably had enough credit in the bank in terms of that. So. But he has looked a lot more reassured in the last kind of 5 or 6 games. He's looked a lot better, a lot more commanding in terms of coming out for crosses and keeping us in games and making vital saves. Particularly kind of that Millwall game where he had to make a number of saves to kind of keep us in the game. So. I'll go for him. I think he was our player of the year last year, and he was outstanding towards the end of last season. So full credit to him, and he's been recognised that by being called up for Croatia. So he must be doing something in terms of playing and getting himself into form, and he has been pretty one of our most consistent players. So I'm going for Pandor.
Okay. We were doing the Hull City alphabet in the last couple of weeks, as you've been watching. We know we massively appreciate all the comments and suggestions that we get on this. We're up to the letter K now, so get your suggestions in for L for the new year, please. But we're looking for the Hull City player, past or present, beginning with the surname K, or surname begins with K, or the event or the stadium or something where K would represent Hull City. Is this a tricky one, Elliot, or not?
I've had to think about this, and I think a player that comes to mind is Robert Corran. Early 2010s was a really good player for us, sort of in the Championship, and sort of when we got back in to help us get back into the Premier League. So I'd maybe say him, or you could sort of say right when it was known as the KC Stadium when we first moved across, and that whole when we moved into that, I think when we was in League One, and just how it felt like the club was sort of on its way up and sort of revamping under Adam Pearson. So I'd say either one of them maybe.
Yeah, KC is just, some fans still call it that, Matty, don't
they? Yeah. And to be fair, that was one of my shouts was the ones that Elliot said. I think Robert Corran was a very, very good player for us. I think we picked him up on a free transfer as well. So just that excellent playmaker can score a goal from outside the area, a real threat from set pieces and stuff. So he was a good shout. But yeah, and as we mentioned about the KCOM or KC Stadium, then I think coming from such a historical ground like Boothry Park, it had to be something spectacular that we were moving into, and at the time, it definitely was a great ground to come to, and it's kind of, I think it's 26 years now we've been there. I don't know, some 25, 26 years that we've been there now, and it still looks as good as it did then. It's a bit tatty around the edges. I think it still needs a bit of a paint job and a bit of a lick of paint around here and there. But I think, as we said, it was kind of the intentions of the club at that point was, I think we all as a fan base knew that we were moving in the right direction under the right leadership, and that we were going to, we were actually going places, and it wasn't so long after that we got ourselves back in the Championship, and we flirted a little bit with the Premier League over the number of seasons. But it is a ground that deserves to be in the Championship at least, and be a Premier League, potentially another Premier League club again. So yeah, either one of those is a great shout for me. But I was really struggling on this one with K again. These middle ones seem to be really tricky.
We'll put the KC Stadium into the A to Z of Hull City then. Fantastic. Right. Finally this week then, we want to wish obviously all of you a really, really enjoyable Christmas, and genuinely from all of us here. Ben is ill tonight and Jack is unfortunately not with us as well, but from Ben, Jack and Matty and Elliot, we want to say massive thank you to everyone who supported the channel over the last 4 months of this season. It's been great to be discussing Hull City's up and downs with you all. You have a lovely, lovely Christmas. Our final one then this week then is we've allowed you to choose any gift wrapped, any present you want to any Hull player, any player across the Championship, or any referee or any fan base that you want. What present are you giving this Christmas, Matty?
I like this one. It's a really good question, isn't it? So I would like to give Stoke fans either a teddy or I'd like to give them their dummy back, if that's okay, because the fallout from that game, they are still rabbiting on about it. So do you know what? You need to put your dummy back in. Stop spitting it out. You've lost how many games in a row now since losing to us? 5 games in a row. Losing to mid-table Hull City. We're not mid-table anymore, Stoke fans. You know, we are on the up. So take your teddy and your dummy back and put it back in for us, please.
Okay. Elliot, what gift are you giving this Christmas?
I'd have to sort of say with Sergei and potentially looking at maybe a new contract, just with how well he's doing, and in a way, if there's any Premier League, if there's any Premier League clubs who are shopping around for manager and see what he's doing under the circumstances here, or any other Championship clubs who might fancy themselves to maybe outdo us, sort of budget wise or anything like that, I think hopefully being able to tie him down is going to be really key. Obviously, he's only been 6-7 months in the job, and a lot can change sort of between now and the end of the season. But I think right at this moment, you'd have to sort of be looking at something like some guarantees in the contract, or even a pay rise or something for the job he's doing.
Fair enough. Stoke fans get a dummy. Ikovic gets a new contract and pay rise. Fantastic. Right. Let us know in the comments. Be fascinated to read some of these out. Which Hull City player or anyone in the Championship fan base needs a Christmas present this year. Right, you two, enjoy your Christmases. Thank you very much for all the work that you do for us growing Where Tigers Walk. Massively enjoy working with you. We will see you in 2026. Enjoy all the festive football. We are doing a quick record in between all that, so watch out for these two talking about the ups and downs of 2025 and of course the January transfer window as well. So tune in for those, set your notifications on for the day after Boxing Day and the 2nd of January for those, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great Christmas.